Welcome to Deb's Design. I've been thinking that I needed a new apron, and I found this fabric, and then I found this cute little aqua with rosebuds. I thought that would just be perfect to trim it out with because I love to mix designs. So I thought that I could maybe come up with a pattern with this one and maybe this one. But what I really wanted was one of those that just crisscross in the back that you can just slide on. I also went to Pinterest and I found several free patterns. I ran one off, thought that I could use it with my apron here and come up with a pattern. I'm not going to share that with you because it's not mine. If you want to go to Pinterest, and there's several in there, but I'm going to make bias tape out of this pretty little fabric and go all around the edge of the apron with that, and the pocket in the front is going to be out of this too. So I hope there's something in this video you can use. If so, please like it and subscribe. It would mean so much to me. If you're just starting out sewing, I'm gonna give you a little tip here. If you've been sewing, you know all about this. But whenever we get fabric cut, it is on the grain. Like you have your selvages that are totally finished on each end. When it's cut straight through, or like if you could pull a thread and it would go through, that would be on the grain. Okay? If you're using a bias tape that's going to be on a curved item, it should be cut on the bias. That's why it's called bias tape. And when you buy it, it is cut on the bias. What that means, instead of being straight on the grain, it's going to go at a diagonal across the fabric, okay? So on this right here, I have this selvage. So that's the selvage going out that way. Now let me turn it just a little more for you to see. Like here's the corner, here's your selvage. If I cut it at a diagonal, that's gonna be on the bias. The difference with that, whenever you are sewing like this, it has a little give. But if you are on the bias, it has a lot of give. See how that stretches there? That's what works good for bias tape. And when you sew things make strips on the bias, it will give, like in that apron where you have the rounded neck, the armholes and all. So I'm going to cut some 2-inch strips to make my own bias tape. If you use your rotary cutter, it is much easier. And I have a larger mat too, but I have it in there under a project, so I'm just going to do it this way. That shows me right here too. See this line? Can you see that? Goes right here. So I'm going to put that on the selvage. And then I can see this line is going to be going on the bias. Let's see how sharp my rotary cutter is. I haven't used it for a while. May need a new blade. Right there, I'll come over 2 inches. You can see I need a sharper blade because it didn't cut all the way through. And I'll see if my scissors aren't sharper. And then whenever I put it on the fabric, I'm going to put like a 1/4 inch seam. Then I'll fold it around, tuck in another 1/4 inch here. That's why I'm cutting 2 inches. So this right here is the neck. So what we're going to do is just crisscross these. Of course, they'll be right sides together. And over here, right sides together. So it's going to be very simple to put it together, but then as far as the edges, I'm going to make bias tape. I'll see you back at the sewing machine. First, I'm going to sew right sides together for the pocket because it's going to be lined. So I'm just going to sew that first. And I'm going to say this is the bottom of the pocket. I'm going to leave just a little bit of room down here where I can turn it on, you know, right side out. I'm going to try it just pressing it with my fingers, but this is the bottom of the pocket where we left it open. So I'm just going to trim, just cut, you know, tuck it in there, and then whenever I sew the pocket in place, it'll catch it then. Okay, I think that's good enough. Since I don't like this little, corner could be a little bit better, I think. I can do it without poking a hole in it. You can see right here where I did the seam on the bias stuff that I was cutting. So it's still on the bias, still stretching. Okay, and I have a lot of it cut, but I'm not sure how much it's going to take. So let's see here. What I'm doing is just doing about 1/4 of an inch, right sides together. And right on this point makes 1/4 of an inch to my needle from what I measured. So that's what we're gonna do. And I'll do this. Hey kitty, you watch your little tail and your paws, okay? We don't want to get you sewn up here. So see, like this right here, we'll go back. I'm gonna turn it so that that seam is showing. So we're gonna see the little rosebuds here. And so then I'll just turn over under another 1/4 on that side. And it's gonna be gorgeous. I like it. If you need bias tape, though, for a project, it's so fun to just make your own, and then you can use any kind of fabric you want. You're not stuck with the few colors that they offer. I'm trying not to pull this because it is very stretchy, but I want it to just lay down there flat with it so it doesn't pucker. Of the striped fabric and 1 yard of this little print. And I could have done it with just 1.5 yards of the stripe. Having to cut this on the bias does take a little bit more, of course. So another piece on. Okay, here's a nice short little piece that'll work just perfect. Let's see, I gotta be sure I get them lined up correctly. Yeah, that's why we want to do it like that, so now it's folded back. It'll still be right on the bias. Okay. Got all this bias stuff sewn on the first time. I did go ahead and hem it, but I need to trim threads still. And I'm gonna press it before I go ahead and finish sewing the bias tape over. Okay. Actually, I am gonna, I'm gonna press the seam that I already have with the bias tape, and then I'm gonna go ahead and fold it. I don't know if you can see that or not. Let's see. Okay, so there's 1/2 inch. Now I'm gonna fold it, the bias tape or the trim here, to the seam, and then I will fold it one more time. And then on the other side, that's how it's gonna look. Isn't that beautiful? I'm lining up this turned under edge right next to the stitching to this seam right here, where I see that. So I want these stitches to be on the other side, still on this little rosebud print. It's all done. What do you think of it? Overall, I'm excited about it. Didn't take that long. Just worked on it a little bit last night and this morning. Hope you give it a try. Remember the trick with the bias tape. If you have any questions, just comment below and I will answer your questions, okay?